Welcome back to Power On Weekly for the week of February 15th through the 21st. My name is Irving Legend. I am your host. Joining me this week, we have two online guests that are joining us. First off is Steve Granado. Steve, welcome to the show.
What up? Your boy's back. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. Steve, thank you very much for joining me. This was so last minute. Ali could not make it for this episode. She's going through some stuff right now, but thank you for joining. And making his Power On Weekly debut, we have Dave, aka No Face. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you being here.
Okay.
Now, Dave, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, or everybody should know who you are at this point, right?
Yeah, I guess, I stream. That's basically it.
Stream, you do YouTube, you're a funny guy. You've got a good...
Don't remind me.
Oof. Well, you did YouTube, but Dave, you and I met through one of our streams, actually, right?
What's with you and bringing up all these... We can't talk about that.
Okay.
We can't.
We
did meet through
ago.
Twitch, yes.
Yes,
but
okay.
That's all we can say.
That's all we can say, yeah. Well, and since then, we've met IRL. I'm one of the few people who actually know what your face looks like.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we met in Japan, and that was really cool. Never thought that I'd meet a friend from online in Japan, but there we were in Tokyo Disney Sea. It was magical.
Yeah, the Finding Nemo ride.
Oh yeah, man.
Good times.
Good times. Now, since this is your first time being on the show, I always like to ask our special guests a question. And so the question for you, Dave, is if you were to erase any video game from your memory to re-experience again, what video game would that be and why?
Honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of games, right, that I've played in my lifetime, and they haven't always been good. So I'm trying to think of this, right? Am I playing this for the first time back then? Because if I'm gonna wipe a game from my childhood, I'm gonna be like, this game sucks. I fucking hate it. But I don't know, man. Maybe Pokemon Sword and Shield. Recently?
Okay. Pokemon Sword and Shield. Steve, did you play Pokemon? You're not a Nintendo guy, are you?
Yeah, I'm a Nintendo guy. There's literally a Switch behind me right now.
I don't see it.
It's literally right there behind me.
I see it.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, no, I played Sword and Shield and I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like many a millennial who was like, I love the original 150, so it's kind of hard for me, and didn't really follow it after either once I became a teenager and liked other things. So that's kind of where I fell off. But I enjoyed Sword and Shield. I never finished it, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Got it. Dave, did you get the expansion? Did you play the expansion?
Yeah, I got it for both versions.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah.
Did you beat it?
I think so.
You think so?
I did. Yeah,
Nice.
It's just I don't know, the DLC wasn't that impactful. It was just more so getting Pokemon to follow you and then getting more Pokemon in the game. So
Got it.
but definitely bought a different copy of the game to get a Clara though. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're notorious for just buying a ton of copies of the same game. I mean, Monster Hunter World.
Monster
I think
Hunter World, yeah.
Yeah, is that your record?
I think I'm 4 copies in on Monster Hunter World at this point.
Jesus.
And
Wow.
2 copies of Iceborne, so
Yeah. Well, speaking of Nintendo, Nintendo had its Nintendo Direct this week, and that's why I brought the two of you to talk about. There is some good, there is some bad. I personally think it was fine. I think a lot of people had a lot of expectation as to what this Nintendo Direct was supposed to be.
the Switch 2.
The Switch 2 wasn't announced, and neither was we had nothing about Breath of the Wild. So let's jump into the Nintendo Direct. They showed a plethora of things. I think this Direct was just straight up JRPG Direct. Would you guys agree in that statement?
No, but I can see why you would say that.
I mean, they had The Legend of Mana. They had that triangle strategy game that was really oddly
Project
named.
Triangle, whatever.
Yeah,
It's a working title. Relax, guys. It'll be better.
No, I really hope it says it's still that title, and then
Project
still parentheses working title.
Working
I want that whole thing to actually be the final
subtext,
title.
the subtitle.
The whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, there was Bravely Default 2 was in there. They've got like Frontier Remastered, apparently, just a bunch of just JRPG games. Was there anything that stood out to you guys? And we'll go down like one by one. Anything that stood out to you guys that you guys were like, that was cool, that was really awesome. Steve, we'll start with you.
See, okay, so here's the thing with me and Nintendo, right? So I brought my Switch a couple of years ago when I started traveling a lot for work. So I was like, I need something to be able to take on the road and game on. But for me, like, there wasn't anything, like, none of those games like were like my threshold. Like, the reason I'm playing Switch, I have a weird path with Switch, right? Where when I got it, I got Odyssey, and like that's all I played for like until I 100% of that game, right, or whatever. But everything else, like if it's not like a first party title, it's got to, like, I've only played like side scrollers like Celeste, or I played My Friend Pedro, or there's a couple other titles that I ran along with. I got Rocket League on there, so sounding kind of like those like bigger first or like second party, third party titles, and then like the big Nintendo ones. So if I'm not looking at Odyssey 2, right, those are the kind of games that like are piquing my interest. I got the Super Mario All-Star stuff, like that kind of stuff is more the reason why I'm doing Switch. So for me, the last couple of years for Switch has been pretty down. I haven't really had much to play. I played maybe half of Luigi's Mansion and kind of got over it. So I was not expecting a lot, but I was like, okay, I've never played a Metroid game, but I am
interested in the Metroid world. So where is this Metroid 4 thing? Like, I'm just curious, what is it? I just want to know what it is. And I literally know nothing about it. I know that it is called Metroid 4. And then I wasn't really a Breath of the Wild person. I didn't really care for that game too much. So I wasn't really like bummed. I just thought it was kind of funny that he just straight up
trolled the world. Was like, I bet you're expecting something right now. But other than that, like, yeah, I was really just like, I'm looking for the next Mario, which is going to be obviously Odyssey 2, and what's Metroid. So the fact that I got neither of those things, I'm like, I already have Fall Guys. Like, I love Fall Guys. I think it's very fun, which we need more content on Fall Guys. But other than that, I'm like, there's nothing that I just sat there for 40 minutes. I thank God watched the Donkey stream on Twitch. Yeah. So at least it was entertaining in that regard.
For sure. What about you, Dave? Did anything stand out to you, or was it a disappointment for you as well?
Mario Golf.
The
first golf game that looks interesting. Let's go.
No memes, no trolls. That's legit. I'm legit excited for that game. I actually played Mario Golf Toadstool's Tour.
What the heck?
Right? I actually played that game, and this is not a joke. I'm genuinely excited for Mario Golf Super Rush.
See, I don't want to spend $60 on that though. That's the other problem I have. Like with Nintendo, is like, okay, maybe I want to go buy like Mario Tennis, but I don't want to go spend $60 on a 3-year-old game. I'm like, come on, like just drop it to 25. Like, let's go.
Well, let's be honest here. Like, there's a huge difference between Mario Tennis, which is a Garbo game, and Mario Golf.
Stop trolling. Mario Golf is great. Also, Mario Tennis was great as well. I've
heard. Stop lying.
I used to like it for GameCube, but
I like the GameCube one as well. Yeah, I like the game. If they make a Mario Strikers game, that's it. Like, they need to make a that's the game that everyone's really waiting for.
Listen, what they're gonna do is they're gonna release it HD, the original game, for $60, and then people are gonna complain. So
people are gonna complain, and then they're still gonna buy it because I mean that's what.
I'll blame you.
Oh, you're gonna blame me? Okay.
Because you're the first person who have ever asked for that game.
You're joking. Mario Strikers is like legit, like
it's
such
popular,
yeah, it's a really popular game. Dave, they showed off a little bit more of Monster Hunter Rise. They showed off four new monsters. To me, they're new because I've only played World, but there might be some returning ones in there. What did you think about that little trailer that they showed for Monster Hunter?
Game still looks good.
Yeah.
Surprising, it's running on a Switch. Saw that new map. Looks pretty cool. So I'm excited to get into it. Day one.
He's getting it. Have you been playing the beta a lot?
No, I used up all my my tries on the first day, and I know you can delete your save data, but I just don't want to.
Got it. You're just trying to save your experience for when the full game comes out.
Yeah. Got it.
I think it's very impressive that this game is running on a Switch. I know that they played this game. I mean, they made this game in alongside Monster Hunter World as well. So that's why a lot of the mechanics are really similar. I'm gonna be honest though. I was really spoiled by Monster Hunter World, so the idea of playing this on the Switch and even playing the demo on the Switch was really weird for me. Even playing it on TV with the Switch, the Joy-Cons control. Maybe I need a Pro controller. That would probably be better, but it didn't feel good. It the Joy-Con controls are so small, and the buttons are so tiny that even trying to pull off moves that I would do in World wasn't really translating as well as I wanted it to. Regardless of, the game looks great. I'm blown away that it's running on a Switch. It looks really good, and I'm a huge fan of the Japanese setting that they have for this one. It's very ninja-y, very samurai-y. The little village that they have is which is funny because Ali said that the name in English literally means something village, and then they put village at the end, but that's just nitpicking. But Steve, does Monster Hunter Rise interest you at all, or probably not, right?
No, that's not my world. I didn't hop in. I know I'm a sham of a man. No, I never jumped in on that. I know this is such a dumb reason to not do it, but the graphics just bug me so much that it looks like I'm playing on a PS3 that it just turned me off. I'm sure the game is great. It's gotten plenty of acclaim, but the graphics bug me.
Just play
much.
World.
Yeah, play World. World is so good.
To your point, Irving, that they could get it running on a Switch. I get being impressed by that, but they got Doom to run on a Switch, so I feel that's I feel in 10 years that's gonna be the thing. Can a Switch run it? That's gonna be the meme on YouTube. It's we got it to run on Switch. We got Cyberpunk 3077 to run on Switch.
No,
it's coming out in 15 more years.
Yeah. Now, one of the most disappointing news for a lot of people was the Smash character. It's Pyra or Mithra, right? It's coming to Smash on March 20th.
I don't think there's ever been a sword character on Smash, right? This is the first one.
Yeah, it is. I think it is. Yeah, it's very bold of them to add another sword character. What did you think about that, Dave? Are you disappointed, or are people just blowing things out of proportion?
Before the Direct, I tweeted out I would be surprised if it wasn't a sword character. So I'm not surprised. So realistically, I didn't play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, so I'm not familiar with the characters, but they look good.
Yeah, if you like big titty anime girls, and it's right there.
Move sets, but okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you did.
Competitively, all right. Yeah, let's keep it professional here, Irving.
Now this,
I think even Donkey said that too. He was just oh great, another one of these sword characters is gonna be on this game. I'd rather have a Fall Guy, because Fall Guys was right after. He's just give me a Fall Guy, that would be more fun. And I was that actually probably would be pretty fun.
That's hilarious.
Can't wait for the egg moves.
Oh man, better watch out.
Just grab and tug.
The grabs. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's just another Kirby.
Yeah. I also didn't play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or anything. So right, it's Xenoblade.
It's not Attorneys General.
It's one singular blade. I didn't play the game, so I'm not really familiar with the character. At the same time, these characters are also individual buys. So for people to I don't know, everybody has their justification to be upset about their favorite character not making it in. But I also think a lot of people have a lot of expectation as to who needs to be in and who can't be in. That it's I don't know. I told Alyssa I feel like Nintendo fans are like some of the most like what is it? I can't even remember the word.
Toxic.
No, not toxic. It's
They're like jaded.
I don't know. No, it's like unappreciative. No. They demanding. No, not demanding. No, not even demanding.
Let's just throw out every word we know. Here we go. We'll start at the
pretty
top.
much.
Apple.
Aardvark.
Regardless, they expect a lot, and when they don't get their way, they're very vocal.
Like
but
Star Wars
I think
fans.
yeah, I mean that too. Now, I will say something about this this character though is that she can change between two different forms basically, and I don't think we've seen that in a Smash character since Sheik and Zelda, and they split those into two characters. So it's interesting that they're going back to doing that. I am interested to see how her movesets are and how they play into the game. I've been pretty, besides Steve from Minecraft, which I think is kind of ridiculous in that game. I've been pretty content with the characters that they've been adding, and I'm glad that it's like really diverse, and they try to like, you know, not be like set those expectations, I guess.
Before I move on, though, I just want to say I'm so sorry to the Tetris community. The T block you're gonna get in the L block, I believe it. You guys are gonna get your rep, I promise.
What?
You don't hear about the Tetris block being a potential character?
Oh, really? That's
I'm pretty sure it's a meme. I hope.
Okay. Well, I mean, you've got Tetris block, Cory in the House, Goku, and you know Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Take your pick.
Short character though, so I mean, it's
Okay.
possible.
Anything's possible at this point.
Yeah.
There's a few games that kind of stood out to me besides Mario Golf Super Rush. Neon White looks like a first-person like card game shooter. Did you guys see that? It was voiced by Steve Blum, the guy who does Spike Spiegel, and he's also in Valorant. He plays Brimstone. Yeah, that game looked really cool. A lot of people were comparing, you know, those type of card games to like, you know, Slay the Spire or you know, other card games. I think it's interesting that it's like a first person view, and I'm a sucker for that voice actor. He's super cool, so I think that looked awesome. Were you a fan of DC superhero girls, guys? Teen Power?
Probably not going to make it on my list.
Okay.
Unfortunately. But the Star Wars one, that I'm semi-intrigued. I don't know how a Star Wars game on Switch would play. Obviously, we know very little about it. But I'm always down for another good Star Wars adventure.
Yeah, they said like as soon as they showed it and they showed the title, the announcer said that it's a third person competitive Star Wars shooter. Where I guess you're playing as different hunters from
Star
what
Wars
the
Fortnite. Let's go, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. maybe we'll get Ryu in there, you know.
Yeah.
Or Jin from Tekken in there. Yeah. Knockout City was also an interesting game. It was like a third person 3v3 dodgeball game.
Did that not look almost identical to like Ninjala?
Yeah, Ninjala.
Yeah.
I was gonna. Oh, that's why I wanted
Ninjala.
to bring it up. Yeah. Is this done by the same studio or something? Because I thought
that almost looked like the same
That's
engine.
so soon.
Like,
yeah,
that looked like identical. So like, to me, like obviously again, we don't know tons about it. I know there's like a beta out or something that people were playing. I saw some gameplay, but is it like that? Just because of how close it looks to it and how much it looks like it's gonna feel like it, that almost tells me that has to be free to play, because like paying for that's gonna feel strange.
I do know that game is also coming to Xbox. A lot of these, including Fall Guys as well, some other things that they announced during the direct date. The next day, Xbox said, "Oh yeah, that's coming to this as well." So
typical
I
Xbox
agree though.
To not jump on that train like right away, just like, oh, by the way, NBA 2K21 is also on Xbox. I know the commercial only says PlayStation, but it's also on Xbox. Oh, by the way, we got MLB The Show now too. Just throwing that out there. just don't even advertise
everyone.
about it. Yeah.
We release games too, guys. Don't worry.
PlayStation gets everything. They get every advertising avenue, and then Xbox like, we have that. We have that too. We have the medium.
Yeah.
We have the medium.
We do have the medium. Yeah. But going back to Knockout though, yeah, it's. I would assume I would want to assume that it's free to play as well. Was Ninjala free to play as well, Dave?
Yes.
You're asking me? I never played that game.
I played it for like 10 minutes.
I played the beta. I didn't play the actual release.
Okay, so yeah, because I mean, also when EA did their Rocket like game as well, we thought that surely has to be free to
Rocket
play, and
Arena,
it
right?
wasn't. So
Rocket Arena was that one.
Rocket Arena, yeah.
That's
And I
still
don't know.
around.
I don't
Yeah.
know. That's
I bought it on like a Steam sale. It was like $5.
I have. That's funny. I have it on Game Pass just because it's on Game Pass. So
Yeah.
I still haven't played it though. I have not. I just downloaded it, but haven't booted it up.
Well, I
Let's
feel like the
continue on.
dodgeball, just like I have a dumb joke. The dodgeball one looks like a cross between Ninjala and Bleeding Edge. Like that's like it's like that. That's what, like Ninjala or however you say it, and Bleeding Edge. The problem with those games was like pace, right?
Yeah.
Like we're gonna talk about Overwatch later.
Yeah.
But like that's why that game works so well is because of pacing. And the pacing in Ninjala and Bleeding Edge were so slow when you wanted it to be so much faster and so much like high intensity. That's what I'm worried about. And I watched some gameplay for this dodgeball thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a cool idea. Like I'm like a crazy like futuristic dodgeball tournament and like on city rooftops. That's a cool idea, and I think I would play that. But like it's got to be quick, and if it's not quick, then it's not exciting.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Let's move on. Let's get to the end of the direct, which everyone was expecting Breath of the Wild news. And like you mentioned earlier at the top of the show, Steve, he came out and he was like, I'm sure you're expecting this, but we need a little bit longer in order to, to talk about that. But they did announce Skyward Sword Remastered coming to the Switch, I think, this year. And it's got improved combats. It's got improved controls. You could still use the motion controls. That was, the way to play it back when it came out on the Wii. But they also made it so where you can play it on just handheld mode, and you can use the right stick in order to swipe whatever you needed to. I think that's fine because I mean the game literally you have to play it with motion controls. Like the whole point of it is to do it.
It was built for that.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys think that this remake is what the fans wanted or needed, or how do you guys feel about this specific remake? Now this is the 25th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda, so it's for a lot of people they were expecting a little bit more, similar to like what Mario did for Super Mario All-Stars, where they did 3 games. People were expecting Skyward Sword, maybe Twilight Princess, and I don't know, like Majora's Mask or something. Do you guys think this delivered, or what are your guys' thoughts? We'll start with Dave first.
First off, I want to say F the fans. I think it's fine. A lot of people did bring up a valid point that Skyward Sword was the only one that hadn't had an HD release. I mean, outside of, every other game. But so I'm like, I'm not bothered by it. I wouldn't play it.
Yeah.
I never thought that Skyward Sword looked interesting. So I mean, like, I'm not gonna play it, but like for the handful of people who enjoyed Skyward Sword, and are genuine fans of Zelda, like this is for them. And then at least it takes off heat from Sword and Shield and those tree textures for like a week. So
for sure. What about you, Steve? What did you think about this?
Well, you know me, like I'm not a huge Zelda person. And like again, it was like everybody else expecting some sort of Breath of the Wild 2 news, which like I just don't. I get the pandemic, I get working from home, I get all that stuff, and like I can understand having a slower workflow, but like to not even have some sort of behind the scenes look or literally any video or not even a single picture seemed a little insane to me. That like it just was straight up a floating head of just hi, nope. That was like literally all they shot. Like even at least for like when Halo is coming out with stuff, right? When Halo Infinite is giving something, it's just like behind the scenes, maybe some like, hey, here's us recording field noise, and here's some like people working on a computer, just like literally anything. Like, yes, people would have been mad that there wasn't like a trailer or maybe a potential release date or release window, but to have absolute zero, like literally all they did was mention that the game exists in some shape or form, and that they had nothing. So that just felt like such a slap in the face. And like I feel for Zelda fans. Like I I know what that feeling is like going through the Cyberpunk thing. I know what that feeling is like going through this Halo situation. So it's just like, man, can we just like literally just give me a behind the scenes? Give me a freaking Zoom between some developers and I would have been happy. I know that like Nintendo tries to bring their scale up a little bit when it comes to stuff like that, like how close to the chest they hold their properties, and they want to make sure that everything looks beautiful and gorgeous and perfectly fine-tuned. But at the same time, like, I think fans would have been happier with a Zoom between like 10 developers than they would with what they eventually got.
Yeah, I think that definitely would have helped, but I also understand why, because Nintendo's very notorious for doing one of two things. They either don't say anything about a game until literally like they announce it and then, hey, it's coming in like 3 months, or they announce it way too soon and then we just hear nothing about it. I mean, the perfect example is Metroid Prime 4. They announced that at E3, I want to say 2018 or 17?
2008, yeah.
No, 18.
No, it was like 2006, 2007.
Okay.
Right around Cyberpunk.
Yeah. They announced that game so long ago. And that game actually, about a year and a half ago, they rebooted it. They restarted the entire game. They from scratch, basically.
Yeah, they didn't like what I think it was Bandai was doing.
I think so, yeah.
Just like, no.
And they gave it back to Retro, right?
Yeah.
Or was it the other way around?
No.
Okay, right. One of the two. But yeah, I mean, Legend of Zelda, this isn't the only anniversary that Nintendo is celebrating this year. They're also celebrating Metroid Prime 4, or Metroid Prime in general. They're also celebrating Donkey Kong 40th anniversary. Like, where the hell's Donkey Kong 64 remake,
please.
huh?
That's what I'm begging for. Let's go.
Seriously though. Yeah, I mean, or Tropical Freeze again for the 8th time. So I just think it's a little odd that we didn't see anything of that. Bayonetta 3 also, like, that's got to be, close to being done, right? It's got to be close to development.
Hear me out, Irving. Hear me out.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Star Wars Fortnite.
That's enough.
I mean, the kids love it.
Oh, they do. So any last minute just points that you guys want to make about the direct? Overall, what would you guys rate it out of 10? As far as for your own personal rating. Steve, we'll go with you.
Personally, it's like a 2, dude. I mean, again, personally,
2, wow.
Because it didn't give me anything. I have Fall Guys. I have Fall Guys on this computer right here. I can pull it up in 10 seconds. I have Fall Guys. And like, sure, I'd like to play it on Switch, maybe. I don't know. That's more like a party game to me, so it's fun to like be on Discord with friends and stuff like that. But Nintendo, figure out your online stuff. Like, seriously, guys. Like, can I get a chat feature one time? But it's just, it didn't, unfortunately for me. I'm sure there's a subset of fans. A lot of them live in Japan. I'm sure that hit a home for a lot of people in Japan. But here in the States, like, I'm not a JRPG guy, so as soon as I say that, it's not for me, which is unfortunate. And I'm not the biggest Nintendo fanboy. I have the Switch. My girlfriend has a Switch Lite, but it's not like I'm sitting here like, I need the next. I don't. I got plenty of games to play. I got Game Pass. I'm fine. But it would be nice for me to have an excuse to jump back into my Switch, because like, I'm literally just every now and then picking it up to play Odyssey right now, because like, that's all I have. And like, maybe Rocket League, like, just so I feel like I don't waste my $20 a year on Nintendo online or whatever. So that's really all I have to go with. Yeah, I'm kind of interested in this dodgeball thing, but if it's gonna be like Ninjala, then I'm probably gonna play it for 10 minutes and then not pick it up again. So
yeah,
I needed a Metroid news. I needed that, and I needed Odyssey 2, and I got neither. So it's a 2 because the stream didn't crash.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, well, hold on. We forgot Splatoon 3. I don't know if that's worth talking about.
How did we forget Splatoon 3? The exact same game.
Their biggest announcement.
That was but wait, there's more.
Yeah, we have one more thing.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was like Apple announcing the first iPod. Like, but wait, Splatoon 3. I mean, sure. Like, I played Splatoon 2 for 15 hours. I thought it was kind of fun, but this looks the exact same. Like, exact same.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Dave?
When they started it, I was like, oh my god, they're doing Splatoon open world. And then when she went to the city, I immediately got so disappointed.
I
Like,
agree.
The new weapons look cool and everything, and like obviously new hairstyles, new every like customization and stuff. But like, I'm kind of tired of playing the arena shooter. Like,
Yeah.
give me something else. Like, I mean, like the story mode is there, but like it's not fun.
I swear they were gonna do battle royale. I really thought they were gonna do that. That's what it looked like in the beginning.
When they were doing the character customization and they you changed the little creature thing that was actually, I was like, Splatoon Monster Hunter, like they're like I was like, you got your Palico, you've got your
Oh, the Splatoon RPG.
Yeah. And then I agree with you. I thought it was going to go the battle royale route or something like that, or even like a open world RPG. Something would be cool like that. But I mean, Splatoon in general is massive in Japan. There's a huge competitive scene for Splatoon 2 as well. Like that game is insane.
It's
for
one
like
of their top 4 sellers.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and like, so for them to be doing a sequel, it doesn't surprise me. I think for a lot of people who aren't familiar with the scene, especially the competitive scene, it seems like, why would you, or why are you doing a third one? Yeah, it was so soon. But I mean, they also did that with Splatoon 1, like pretty much as soon as the Wii U was nailed to the ground, they just brought out Splatoon
like
2.
15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, well, time to work on the sequel.
Oh, that flopped.
Yeah. What did you think about the direct, Dave, now that we've gone full circle with Splatoon 3?
I mean, I saw some pretty cool stuff, the Famicom Detective Club games. I think I'd be really into that. On the JP Direct, though, they released Cran Shinchan.
Oh.
Which is I don't know if you guys know, but that's like an Adult Swim show here. Which is like pretty adult. But but in like the actual source material is like a kids show.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool seeing all that. And it actually looks really beautiful, that game. But I don't know, maybe a 5 for me, 5 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would have to agree with you guys. I'm not a big JRPG fan in general anyways, and that seemed like that was like a lot of what they're showing. I was really interested in, like I said, the Monster Hunter Rise stuff looked cool. Mario Golf actually genuinely surprised me, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then the Animal Crossing cross Mario thing was really cool. Yeah. Especially the warp pipe, like, man, being able to just warp pipe between your,
I totally forgot, like, you could put furniture outside. So I was like, when we got leaked info about the Mario stuff, I was like, I don't care. But then they just put it outside. I was like, my brain was like, oh wait, I forgot.
Yeah,
I would like to make a pitch to Nintendo, though. I know they're watching.
Okay,
Reggie, my dude.
He doesn't work for Nintendo anymore. He works for
GameStop. He's a silent investor. He's on Robinhood. But how is there not like a sandbox mode on Animal Crossing? Like that sucks that you have to like delete your island to create a new one. So especially when you get things like this, like they said at the end of that Super Mario thing, they're like, oh, maybe you can go remake World 2 or whatever they said, like whatever bad
demolish your whole town.
Yeah, and it's like, you want to do that and like waste all this work? Like, why can't you have different saves? And you shouldn't have to go and get KK Slider to be on your land and your island again. Like, just straight up, like how like City Skylines does it, or how like Planet Coaster does it, right? Where they just straight up like, unlimited money, unlimited everything, just go create. And like, why is that not a mode, especially almost a year since launch? And they were like, oh, we're gonna have all these new updates and stuff. It's like, you still have to, like, literally my girlfriend is starting to play on my Switch now so she can do a new island. And I'm like, dude, that sucks. Like, you shouldn't have to own 2 Switches to do that. Like, that sucks. So that's my
New
pitch.
Game Plus. That's what they introduced. New Game Plus.
New Game Plus with a sandbox mode or whatever you want to call it. Just unlimited money, unlimited everything or whatever. And or you can be able to turn things on and off, or all that kind of stuff. Just go play and have fun. It's a playground.
All right, you heard it here, Reggie. Reggie.
Reggie. Confirmed. Digi's Reggie.
Listen, don't dox me like that. They don't need to know I'm Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank Dave for joining us on this section of the Nintendo Direct. Dave, is there anything that you would like to plug? What have you been up to? You stream on the weekdays, right?
Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I stream on Twitch at noface_exe. I mainly tweet though. That's my biggest my biggest accomplishments there.
Totally.
So make sure to follow me on Twitter there. Same name. And I do some game development stuff, but I'm trying to figure out how to do that while also streaming. So maybe I'll do that stuff in the future too. So we'll see.
Well, I want to thank you once again for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I'll look forward to having you in the future.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. BlizzconLine was this week. 2
Very
days. That's what they called it.
I know. So I say very clever. Good work.
The BlizzconLine. Now, last year, obviously, they didn't have BlizzCon like when they normally do, which is November, I think. So they pushed it until here, and we have BlizzconLine, which was a 2-day event, free to anybody to watch, just on whatever site that you want to watch it directly through their Blizzard website, or on YouTube, which was where I watched it. It was a free event. Everybody can watch whatever. They did have like a paid subscription thing, which was like pay for a pass and then you get some extra in-game content and stuff. I didn't think it was really worth it, but I mean, I'm also not the biggest BlizzCon or Blizzard fan anyways. I think you and I both agree that we're the only thing we really interested us was the Overwatch 2 news, correct?
Pretty much, yeah. I hopped back into Overwatch recently, and I've been playing the last 2 weeks again.
Mm-hmm.
I finally switched from console to PC. So I'm finally playing Overwatch the way it was meant to be played.
Yeah.
And I'm not as good. I also haven't played for a few years, so it takes me. I was like diamond or whatever one of this before getting master or whatever. That's how high I was on console. Now I'm on gold here on PC. So it takes some time to get back. Regardless, but yeah, that was pretty much that. I did care a little bit about Hearthstone. I hop into Hearthstone every now and then. But yeah, it's weird for me, dude, because I live down the street from where BlizzCon happens. I remember when I first moved here a couple of years ago. I remember I sent you a picture of dude, a couple of pictures, dude, look, I walked over to the convention center just to see all the the weirdos that I love so much, and I was like, look at all these freaks, they're so cool. There's food trucks too, but I was just it's super strange to 2 years in a row to have no BlizzCon here, and it definitely is felt for sure. I mean, just overall here in this city because of everything, and with Disney being shut down and literally being turned into a super vaccine site. But yeah, no, it's very strange not to have BlizzCon here. It feels very, very weird. It's something that I always look forward to. I remember seeing Reinhardt's walking down the street by my apartment and seeing a Reaper, a full-fledged Reaper. It's always super cool. So it is a bummer that it's not here, but I'm glad that they did this and that they didn't just do because they always used to do that virtual ticket thing. When it was the real thing was happening. So it is cool that they again at least open that first day up, here's all our announcements, make sure everybody can see it. So I do appreciate that Blizzard does that while understanding they need to make money,
for sure. Now like we mentioned, where you're a little bit into Hearthstone, but I'm not really. I don't really care about everything else. I mean, the Blizzard Arcade Collection is fine. World of Warcraft, I really don't want to dive into another MMO. Destiny 2 is already enough. Which that's not even an MMO really, if you think about it. Hearthstone, Diablo 4 actually did look cool to me. The rogue class looked really interesting. I've never played a Diablo game, but I think that looks super, super cool.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. But really the main event for me was Overwatch 2 and sorry, there's something come out. And I'm gonna say it here. I'm genuinely kind of blown away by everything that they've showed. They showed a lot. And for me, being a person who really fell off of Overwatch just because of the repetitiveness and the toxicity of it, and just the lack of this game sense that people have, especially in low elo forms, like it was really frustrating for me, and trying to play solo queue is really frustrating as well. So this was a breath of fresh air. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Did you ever consider that? That might be
I have
a way to get out of that. It's just like
I have considered that. Yeah. This was a breath of fresh air for me. Mainly because it really spoke to me with like the PvE elements, and especially the skill trees. Those skill trees look really interesting, and being able to level up each of your characters to be able to do crazy things. It reminded me a lot of like what Borderlands 3 has, and even like RPG elements like that like Destiny has or something, or even like Cyberpunk. So for me, the PvE, the story missions, and the hero missions looked really, really interesting. And I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be really cool. Now, not to say that it's still bittersweet that the game has to be a sequel. I understand that Blizzard needs to make money, and they need to, Overwatch 1 isn't making money for them anymore. But it still kind of feels weird that there's that like that disconnect, but also tie in with the PvP element of it, right? Because both games are going to have PvP. The Overwatch 1 can still play with Overwatch 2. So it's weird. It's really strange. Yeah.
It's gray. It's super gray.
It is. I don't know if I've seen a game do this. I'm trying to think of like other games that when they have their sequels, you can still play with like the previous title. Like even when Titanfall 2 came out, like that was a sequel, and yeah, they added a story mode and some other stuff, but they changed the game like a good amount, especially the way the Titans worked and everything.
It felt faster, and it was like definitely refined. And I think that's what Blizzard, and that's what like Jeff was talking about like crazy, right? He was just like, we want to refine it. I think they are very aware that fans like you and I are feeling the way we're feeling, that we're like, whoa, okay, we spent money on this game only a couple years ago, and we poured hundreds of hours into it. Like, why do I need to get it? Like, they have done market research on that. They completely understand that. So like, you think like 5 or 6 times in that like 40-minute span, Jeff was like very clear, like, we know that we are trying to make it a different experience. And to your point, it did seem. Here's the thing. So, whenever I do this, it's going down. No, here's the thing, right? Is like, for me, I bit the bullet and bought Overwatch for the second time, right? Like, and I didn't get to transfer over my stuff from the hundreds of hours that I had logged on console. Sour note number 1.
Yeah.
Sour note number 2 is, it was only a few weeks ago where the news leaked that Overwatch 2 was not coming out this year like people anticipated. Yeah. So I had that in mind. So I had like 2 sides of my brain while watching this, right? I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff that they're showing us. This is great. This is like, it was like almost 40 minutes or maybe even more than of information that we had none of before, mostly. But then on the flip side, I was like, oh, well, they anticipated this game coming out this year. Or at least like towards the end of the year. So yeah, they should have all this kind of stuff done. And if I feel like they're building it upon the same engine and everything, so like a lot of like the back end work is pretty much was done from the get-go. At least you would anticipate that. Yeah. So, but yeah, to your point, like I was impressed because like I brutally honestly could kind of forgotten that BlizzCon was even happening.
Yeah.
Mostly because that's normally in November. So that was a little like, oh yeah, BlizzCon. Duh. But yeah, I mean, we got to see some new character models, which people were up in arms about McCree. Like, get over it. It's red. Calm down. It's not Spider-Man puddles. All right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I you know me, I'm a huge Pharah main. I love Pharah with all my heart, like my favorite character in that. So I like the little fresh redesign of her. Like, it looks like they kind of made her a little more muscular and like kind of trimmed the waist, changed the colors, and made the visor a little cleaner and opaque. So that was kind of cool. Like, Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'm mad at is that Torbjorn and Symmetra are still in the game, and Bastion. Like, get turrets out of the game. I don't want any of that. They're annoying, and they're just a chore. I don't care about any of those things, and they're not dynamic gameplay. Just get rid of them.
But Bastion has a little hat now.
No, I don't care. Take off that hat. Throw them in the river. I don't want them. It's just like lazy. Like Bastion's just lazy. But overall, like, yeah, I was impressed. I just wish those characters weren't going to be in the game. But
Gotcha.
I could only get so much.
Let's break down some of the interesting news. Now let's talk about the new maps. They showed off 2 new maps. They showed off Rome and New York. I think they were gorgeous, especially Rome. Like when they were showing like the art design and everything like that of how the Colosseum and even like those like the big steps leading up to like a big building, I thought was really impressive. New York just kind of looked like a different version of I want to say King's Row. I know that sounds kind of like, I don't want to just discredit like the art team and stuff, but it just from one big city to another, yes, it seems similar, but I still think that looked great, especially the Grand Central Station. Like that was really cool, and I always love how even though they're not like carbon copies of like real world cities, they have like elements of it in each of the maps, like even like Hollywood and stuff. In Hollywood, there's at the very beginning there's like a coffee shop, and that coffee shop is like across the street from like the theater, the big like
Chinese
theater that they have,
Yeah.
the Chinese theater where you spawn from. That coffee shop is actually, it's real, and it's a coffee bean, because I used to work at Coffee Bean. So for me, I always think that's like super cool, right? And I know that for a lot of people, like it may be in New York, when the New York map comes out, they'll find those similarities. So I think their map design has always been really impressive to me. What did you think about the maps?
I thought the maps look pretty cool, dude. Like I'm in. Like they're more Overwatch maps, so like who could be mad at that? And we're always looking for more maps and more ways to play the game. I think what was more interesting to me was how those types of maps were going to play, and what they're saying about potentially no 2CP, and how they're which like 2CP does, like 2 capture points does kind of hit the sour notes sometimes. I do definitely get that. But I like that they're trying to refresh it and try to make it feel like Overwatch 2 is a necessity, right?
Yeah.
As far as marketing is concerned. So I do appreciate that they are like going the extra mile to be like, okay, how can we think of new game modes that aren't arcade game modes, right? Because like Capture the Flag sucks. Like I hate Capture the Flag. I think that was like extremely boring whenever I play a Capture the Flag. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
The game's not built for that, right? Like it's not that's not why it's made. and whatever, if you like it, then you like it. Like I didn't like Lucio Ball. Like I thought it was boring. Like all that stuff, right? So I think it's interesting that they're like, okay, how can we introduce new game modes and new ideas, but also still make them feel like a 2CP, and they're like competitiveness, or how a payload feels, or a capture point payload feels. Like those, that's what interests me the most. Is, I mean, shockingly, how we play the game. Like what are the new game modes that to your point earlier, Irving, is going to be a little interesting how they do playing on Overwatch 1. Do they get those maps? Does Pharah look in the rebrand? Does Torbjorn look rebranded? Like I'm very curious how they're going to handle all that, because they obviously need to market this product, so they need to make people buy it. Like, do I need to buy it? I feel like the big sticking point is to buy Overwatch 2 is the PvE stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And that seemed really interesting. To your point, those little RPG elements, I think that's like the perfect low entry barrier to jump into in a game like this. We're like, okay, maybe this player or this hero can get like a perk or whatever, right? Like those kind of like Call of Duty perks situation.
Yeah.
That super interests me. And then just like the ability to mix and match teams to have that replayability, because that's the problem whenever they do like the archive stuff, right? Is like this mission's the same every time.
Yeah.
And or even Junkenstein's Revenge is the same every time. It doesn't matter really who you pick. So to be able to like, they are conscious of that situation, and that that is in their mindset moving forward for the PvE stuff. Like that's what gets me fired up, and that's 99% of the reason why I would buy Overwatch 2.
I agree. Yeah, because part of those like archive missions, that was always my worry, was like seeing those archive missions, and that was always my interpretation of what they were trying to do with Overwatch 2. And it's like, oh, you're just gonna have a bunch of archive missions like in Overwatch 2 and call it a sequel. Like that's kind of not that didn't really sit well. And I think this presentation just kind of blew all that out of like the water basically, and was like, yeah, you've got your hero missions and they may be in the same maps and the same kind of repetitive, but they're going to swap out enemy types. There's going to be null sector. It might be talent. It might be, you know, different events that happen. They might take a different branch into a different section of the map. You know, you can change every character that you want, and you can different, you know,
Dialogue
encounters
and
might
stuff.
happen. Exactly. So as long as they keep it fresh and they keep it like refreshing, I think that will be a good way to just kind of pass the time if you don't want to do PvP, which is great. And we'll get to the story part in just a bit, because I think the story is what's really more interesting for me as well. But before we do, I want to talk about really quickly that there has been some digging going around, and it looks like the game is 5v5 now. If you look at the trailers, there's only one tank on each team present. Or if you go back and you watch through like the entire presentation, anytime they show PvP, there's only one tank present at every time. And they also made a big emphasis on making tanks tankier and brawlier. And there's even internal talks that they actually want to remove the tank role and just call it brawlers. And so then they're like in the fight, they're brawly, they're everything. They're not here just to hold up a shield for everybody else to shoot through or protect. Like, they're trying to make tanks. They're really trying to sell them, especially with the new passives that they have, where all tanks have basically what Reinhardt has right now with Steadfast, where they take knockback resistance. I think the healer self-heal over time role, the passive role, is really good, especially for Zenyatta, who can't heal himself. I think that's was a must that they needed to do. And then the slight speed increase for DPS was really interesting as well. Well, going back to the tanks, giving Reinhardt to hammer or to fire strikes, now canceling his charge.
Yeah, that's huge.
Like, they were really trying to sell tanks, because as we know as players, tanks are really the queue that doesn't really get filled as often, because it's not the most engaging gameplay. And
well, that's
I think
why
if
I play
they
Diva, right? Because
yeah.
Diva is so engaging and can fly in and can fly out and can eat and can tank, and like, she is probably what they are looking at. That
Yeah.
I gotta imagine there's the numbers there of like most played tanks and stuff, for as far as like, because they can see like how long we play, how many matches we do, and like, I gotta imagine, I'm just off the dome here, like, there are probably more people who would be interested in playing Diva time and time again, as opposed to like a Winston or a Reinhardt or whatever, right? Because like, those are the like ones, or like an Orisa, where you're just sitting there. But Diva flies in and flies out, and like, you can tell that they are, like, used to your point, right? They wanted to make the tanks more engaging. And I think that's really cool, because that's what pushes the game, right? It makes it move faster. It's not just, all right, I'm going to sit in front of Bastion with my shield and a Mercy, and there's literally nothing you can do about it. That's not fun. That's not engaging. That's not like interactive. So they want tanks to move. And I really do like that idea, because it just makes it funner, faster, and potentially like gives you maybe one more or two more fights, right, per like round. So if it does that, then like, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel quicker when this game already feels quick and fast and fun paced. Then, hey, dude, I'm all for it. Like, let's do it.
Yeah, definitely. I as a person who plays tank a lot and really likes to play tank, the thing that's really disappointing about playing tank is everybody has this expectation that you're just supposed to stand there with the shield.
Yeah.
And especially like in low like elo and stuff like that, or and like just being an aggressive Winston or like Ball or even like an aggressive Zarya, that's so fun to do, that like if they do these changes and it is 5v5 with just one tank, I think that would benefit even more and make us feel a little bit stronger, as opposed to just, like you said, just standing there. Now they showed off Sojourn as, sorry, go ahead.
It gives you a role. Like, that's essentially like, it gives you a purpose other than I'm just here for everybody else. It's like, oh, well, okay, I need my McCree to help me out here to get this kill. It's like, no, I'll just do it myself. Like, that's
pretty much.
I'll just hit him with a hammer. Like,
yeah, no, exactly. They showed off Sojourn a little bit. She's a DPS character using a railgun. There's a little bit of breakdowns as to how her kit works, and I find it really interesting. 2CP, like you said, is pretty much dead in Overwatch 2 competitive, at least. IGN did an interview with Jeff Kaplan, and they talked about that, and he basically said it may, as of right now, it doesn't fit in the competitive scene, basically, and they're not putting it in the pool. As far as the maps that are 2CP, they're going to try to just integrate them into the hero missions that they have for PvE. So I think that's great.
On
2CP
the no
wasn't
2CP thing, though, I'm curious too. Like, does that get lost in Overwatch 1? Like,
yeah, most
can
likely
you no
I would
longer
think so.
play in Overwatch none? Then what about those maps? Like, can I no longer play those maps, those 2CP maps? The God, I can't even think of a single one. I guess
Temple of Anubis or
I love Anubis.
Volskaya. Yeah, Volskaya, interesting.
Anubis is one of my favorites. So yeah, it's weird. Is there going to be like a mode where, like, I think like Halo Master Chief Collection was like, okay, I can select Halo 3. Or I can do all Halos. Like, is it going to be the same thing for Overwatch? Like, can I only play Overwatch 1 modes? Or can I select Overwatch 2 and 1? Or only Overwatch 2? I'm curious to see how they want to integrate these games. So they're going to have to figure out how to integrate them.
For sure. That is a very valid point as to what they're going to do with that for the existing player base. Like I said, we talked about a little bit about hero missions, but they looked really interesting. They also have some dynamic weather that they're going to be adding. They also have different times of day for each of the maps, which I think is a breath of fresh air as well. Seeing Dorado during the day, like, that was so cool. And and just like we've seen a little bit of these things with, like, when they do Junkenstein's Revenge, or they make the Christmas event and they make it Christmassy. But just every map having 3 different times of day as well as dynamic weather was really interesting.
I am curious though, like, if that, like, the weather stuff, they even, like, they brought it up, but I don't know how, like, happy I am with it, where, like, it changes comp. Like, you'd have to change comp to go with it. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm super into that idea. Like, I like the weather, but I wouldn't like the weather to, like, play a factor, right? It's almost like if a skin helped you, it gave you an advantage or a disadvantage. It's like, no, it should be an I just think it should be an even playing field no matter what. Like, they care so much about balance.
The weather is only in PvE. It's not in PvP.
Oh, okay. That
yeah. So it's only in PvE. And what they were saying about, like, the weather maybe affecting a part of the world, a mission that you're going to go do, is just for the PvE section of it.
Oh, okay. I watched it at 1.25 speed. Sorry.
Oh, okay. You're like, hurry up.
It was long. Let's go. Move it along, Jeff.
Yeah. So that was only for PvE during the hero missions, basically. Okay. Now, lastly, they talked about story missions, and these are brand new locations, brand new giant maps that aren't used in PvP. They're just standalone maps that they do for it. So it was genuinely a story mission, which, my biggest concern when they first announced Overwatch 2, when they were going to add a story, was it was just going to be a glorified archive event. But from what I've seen here, that's not the case. And each mission is going to have its own dedicated team that goes into it, its own dedicated intro and outro, as well as just it's just going to have some really crazy story beat elements in it. They talked about how dark can they get Overwatch. So I'm interested in seeing where this story goes, mainly because obviously in Overwatch 1, the only kind of stories that we got were from shorts or from lore, from novels and stuff like that, which was great. Yeah. It's fine, but at the same time, this world is so rich in just characters and lore and world building that that Overwatch 1 was not the way to build a world for this world. Basically, it was not a good way to build a story for this. And I think they can really take advantage of that now that they have a story mode in Overwatch 2. What were your thoughts on the Overwatch 2 story section of it?
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, that, like, the Overwatch 1 doesn't really, it feels so weird to say Overwatch 1, but that it wasn't built for good world building, yet it built an incredible world. Like, that it was not good at it, yet we still got this incredible world where people are extremely interested in the characters and stuff, and, like, just the way like the found outpouring of support and stuff like that, especially in the first couple of years, right? And especially once, I mean, it led to them building a full competitive league with their own building. Like, it took off. Like, it took off massive. And you think of, like, those early years of like DSP Stanky, like those Lucio videos coming out, like, those were so huge. Like, it feels so weird to think of that in, like, a nostalgic term, but it was like 5 years ago that stuff was happening. but they were able to do that. And now that they are putting a full-fledged effort, when, I mean, I'm sure it crept into their minds, they had to think of it, the backstories for the heroes and stuff. But I feel like it wasn't really until like later on in the cycle when they started trying to introduce new characters, like the whole Sombra thing, right?
Yeah.
They
the
had
Doomfist
to,
thing.
they knew that they were like, okay, wait, hold on, people really like this. Like
Yeah.
they knew people were gonna like it, but they're like, wait, people like this aspect of it. So that to just like not essentially shift gears, but to like put more focus, right, to move the eggs out of the one basket and put it into separate baskets, to be like, okay, we now know that people really like this aspect, and arguably is the best aspect of it all is this character, or these character worlds that we built for them to like go into. I'm like, dude, yes. Like I have been begging for like an Overwatch movie. Like I want an Overwatch movie. I want to go on the big screen. Well, I want any movie, and I want to go to the big screen in general. But to be able to like go watch like these characters on the big screen with their art style and their animation style and the audio design. We haven't even talked about the new audio sound effects.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
which like as a Pheromane, I didn't like how that gun sounded anymore.
Yeah,
I was like, it sounds weak. I'm like, she's shooting rockets. It shouldn't sound like I just dropped a pin on the floor. Anyway, but yeah, like world building is what Blizzard does, right? Literal World of Warcraft, like that. It's been big for years, right? For decades. So that they are leaning into it, I'm just like, right now they are making all the right moves despite this delay, which we kind of all saw coming because we hadn't heard anything since their initial announcement, and that initial short, which was awesome. Love that initial release short. It was so cool. But yeah, like just keep going down this path and you will start getting the players back. I mean, look, Irving, when was the last time you picked up Overwatch? You're talking about it and you're excited about it. So
no, I am. I think the thing I'm more excited about is the PvE elements, but it also, the PvP does entice me just because of that tank change alone.
You'll play it again. You'll hop back in.
And what I like about it is the same thing that happened. Well, no, because not even Titanfall 2, but like just having different options, right? Because the thing when you hop into Overwatch, there's literally two options. You're either, or three maybe, playing quick play with just a bunch of just random people who just don't really care and they throw. You're playing competitive, which is the sweatiest, and it's really hard to sweaty as solo. Or you're just gonna go into, arcade mode and just mess around and
snowball.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, like all of those are pretty much the same game mode anyways, where it's just two teams versus two teams. And I could just play, if I wanted to do that, I'll just play like different types of games in general. But I don't know. For me, it hasn't really been enticing me as much, but this does interest me because there's a variety of things to do as opposed to just one thing to do. I want to mention one thing before too we end is I find it interesting that this game has come full circle as to what they initially tried to pitch to Blizzard, which was Titan. The Overwatch was originally supposed to be a pretty much like a hero RPG kind of shooter thing that they tried to pitch to Blizzard, codenamed Titan at the time, and that's where Tracer came from. And it's just kind of weird that that's what they're coming full circle as to, like, this is just what the sequel is now. So I mean, they probably should have just done that from the beginning, to be honest. But I think it's really interesting. I do want to give one little thing to before we run out of time, an idea real quick. My idea is if they have the assets for like all these like NPCs and stuff, right? You got Null Sector, you've got Talon and everything. If they do a MMO or a MOBA version of Overwatch, like where you have them like the MOBA squads and elements and all these like minions coming through. Kind of no, because that's like RTS. Like if you're thinking of like even Battleborn, like Battleborn is basically what I'm getting at. Like Battleborn was a cool idea, but it just came out at the wrong time. It's not an Overwatch clone at all. It's literally a MOBA. If you look at it as like Battleborn and Gigantic, like those kind of MOBA-isk games, if they do a mode like that, that would be so cool. I'm like, if you understand what I'm saying as far as like it being a MOBA and you kind of see it in your head, I think, and you're a MOBA fan, I think you would also be excited. But that's my pitch to Blizzard.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Paladins too, dude. Like, let's go. There's Paladins too. Let's pitch that to Amazon Studios. Let's get Paladins 2 rocking on Amazon Luna or whatever their streaming thing is. Paladins 2. I'm pitching it here. Let's go. Come on, Jeff Bezos.
Well, yeah, that's basically all we have for as far as I wanted to talk about as far as the Overwatch 2 news. I am genuinely surprised of how I'm not like clamoring or super excited for it, but I am impressed. And I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm not impressed, and I'm not looking forward to this as a sequel. I do think it stings a little bit that we had to have for the player base that has been playing, they had to have a year plus of no content when they've been used to having a bunch of content, every year. I think that does suck, and it does suck that they basically halted that completely just to move on to that. But I also understand that, like, they're a business, they need to make money and they need to focus all their attention on that. And it's also not to say that they haven't been, helping out with this as well. Like with Overwatch, they added role queue, they added priority pass, they added, some other quality of life changes and buffs. So they're not completely alienating the player base as of right now. They are just kind of not giving content that they're used to, I guess is what I got to say. What are your final thoughts on this, Steve?
I just hope they get rid of like loot boxes or finding a different system for doling out skins and stuff. Because man, I mean, playing it now, and especially how hard shift away from loot boxes we've gotten in gaming in the last 3 years. Jumping back in, I'm like, yo, I have 50 credits. I've been playing for 3 hours. Like, I want to buy a skin, and I'm waiting. And especially right now we're in the Lunar New Year event or whatever. It's like it prioritizes those skins or whatever, which I get. I want to unlock those skins because it's the only time I can. But it's just dude, if I want to buy a skin or even just a freaking spray, dude, I just want to spray or I just want to be able to kneel. Those types of things are just man, this feels so outdated already. So I really hope they find a better system to get new things to the players, new skins, new emotes, that kind of stuff. Because oof, man, now, if you hop back in, Irving, especially if you hop in with a new account, essentially, with what I've done, I'm like, dude, I just want a skin for Diva, skin, and not spend all the credits I've gotten. So that's the last gripe I have with Overwatch. But I am excited, to your point too. I'm stoked, and it's gonna be a while till we get it. It's not gonna be this year, that's for sure. It's gonna be 2022, but I'm okay with that as long as you get it right. Don't have a Cyberpunk situation. Get it right and get it into the people's hands the way it should be done. And we're all going to have a fun time. We're all going to be screaming at each other again here soon. And we'll be playing, me, you, and Allie will be playing again. And we'll be screaming at each other for healing. And it'll be like a little reunion squad. It'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining me so last minute. I literally asked you 30 minutes before we started recording if you were free. I always appreciate you coming by. I always love having you here on the show. But I also want to give a shout out to Steve. Steve has been working on 2 podcasts actually since the last time he's been on the show. Why don't you tell us about both of them? And go ahead.
Yeah, I've been doing things because I'm sitting here at home like everybody else. The first podcast I made was a documentary podcast called Our Game about Latin history and baseball. That's probably not the same crowd as this one, but if you are a baseball fan and you're curious about some lost history, I did a deep dive 8-part series called Our Game. That's O-U-R game, not A-R-E, O-U-R. Our Game, and it's all about Latin history and baseball. But the other one that people might be into is called Movies I Should Have Watched. It's me and my best friend Alex Schmitten. We are watching every movie that every person has screamed at us that we had to watch. So movies like Jaws, 16 Candles, La La Land, just all the big movies that people get incredulous about you not seeing. Your Harry Potters of the world, your not Land Before Time. I was gonna say that. Back to the Future. Why haven't you seen Land Before the Time? Before the Time. I'm a mess. We've been talking for over an hour. But yeah, all those movies, we're watching them, and we talk about them, and we're essentially on a mission to decide of all these movies, which are the ones that you actually do need to see. So movies like Gone with the Wind, you probably don't actually need to see, but movies like Rambo, yeah, you probably should actually watch that one. It actually is really good. Or like Thelma and Louise is actually really good, and I really liked it. So those are the types of things. It's a lot of fun. It's called Movies I Should Have Watched. It's available on podcast platforms everywhere for free. Download it, please listen. It's a lot of fun, and if you like my snarky, annoying, dumb comedy, you'll get an hour of that.
I did watch your La La Land one, or listen to it while I was working, and you're so funny. You're like, this is a musical?
No clue. By the way, La La Land, one of the whitest movies you'll ever watch in your life.
Yeah.
Oh God, but it was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
La La Land's fine. But yes, to your point, everyone has those movies, Irving. Everyone has movies that someone said like got super mad, and I'm like, oh my God, you've never seen Star Wars? Like people like that.
Yeah.
Right? Just like, oh, how are you doing with your life? It's like, well, shut up. I'm actually watching them now, and we're finally going to talk about it. So
well, call me. I'd love to be on the show if you ever do a Blade Runner episode, the original Blade Runner.
Have not seen Blade Runner, so
I would love to be on that.
I would love to have you on, dude.
That'd be great. Thank you. I just plugged myself in, but awesome. I'm glad that you started these. I think they're really cool, especially you'd be surprised for your Our Game, that podcast, the one about the Latin baseball like history. I mean, my cousin is really into baseball. He's Mexican, so maybe it's right up his alley. You may never know. So yeah. If you want to check out Steve and what he's been up to, make sure to check all the links down in the comments below. I mean, in the description below. But that's it for this week's episode of Power On Weekly. Once again, thank you for Steve, and thank you for Dave for swinging by and helping me out with this week's episode. And we will see you guys next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Later.